Hello, I'm pleased to welcome you all today to our It Takes a World campaign, Stories of Change podcast series featuring South Sudan, World Vision's working in South Sudan. I'm Mesfin Loha, I'm the country director and your host. And we are excited to have you all here today. And we have a distinguished guest today in this podcast. I will ask them to introduce themselves. Bishop?
I will retired Bishop Enoch Tombe, Stephen Lord of the Episcopal Church of South Sudan, Country.
My name is Stephen Waruba, the chairperson of the Side Right Club.
So I, by the name Elizabeth Emmanuel, I'm secretary of Child Right Club.
You're most welcome. We are pleased to have you today with us. For the last 5 years or so, World Vision has been implementing what we call It Takes a World to end violence against children. It's a global campaign, and in South Sudan, we used under the banner, It Takes a Nation, It Takes South Sudan, It Takes us all to protect the future generation in South Sudan. And we know through this engagement, through this campaign over the past 5 years, how engagement with the church and faith-based organizations and participation of children is critical to address some of these issues. And as our colleagues introduced themselves, we have retired Bishop Enoch Tombe, Stephen, the Episcopal Church of South Sudan, has been a long-time partner of World Vision in South Sudan, and Stephen Waruba and Elizabeth Emmanuel, who are both child rights leaders in their communities. Bishop Tombe, it's been a pleasure working with you over the past few years in many strategic initiatives here, including in our worldview, including faith actors, landscape assessment, the Great Lakes Initiative that you contributed significantly to, and more recently, the discipleship material we developed, the tool we developed, Wisdom That Saves. So it's been a pleasure indeed. And for you to come today also to this conversation with us on a specific focus on protection and for security and the role of the church. Maybe to take you back a little bit, how did you know about World Vision? How did you start engaging with World Vision?
Actually, I met somebody called Vinay in Oxford, UK.
Oxford.
In 1992. I was studying there in pastoral theology. And we happened to pray in St. Andrew Parish Church. We sat next to each other, and during the break, he asked me where I was from. I said, from Sudan then. And he brought a manual, Disaster Manual for Christian Workers. And said, are you interested to get this? I said, well, that's good. So I got it, and later on he came to Juba and actually met it. This is where I heard about the World Vision since that time. But specifically for the Juba World Vision office, Angelo Matuch used to invite me for Bible staff devotions in the morning. After that, he engaged me in as a resource person. Firstly, there was what they call South Sudan context analysis at Grand Hotel in March 2015. You know, we have been part of the peace process in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And but he was not impressed because I did not talk about the spiritual aspects of the South Sudan context. So then he challenged me later on at the Best Hotel to produce another paper on South Sudan context analysis for a spiritual perspective. So I presented that paper to a group of church leaders here in Juba on analysis of September 2016 at the Best Hotel here in Juba, where I have presented statistics of Christians 60% of 12 million are Christians, according to UNDP Human Development Report. 36% are African traditional believers, and 6% are Muslims, and 1% are others. In case somebody will left out, he's within the 1%. From there, I talk about the vision for South Sudan. We became independent from Sudan in July 2011.
Yes.
So after that, what we need to do? We need to build a state. So I look at the state of Israel, where after crossing Egypt, the Red Sea, after leaving Egypt, we took them 40 years to reach the Promised Land. So I say, why don't we apply this to our nation? So if we got the CPA, Comprehensive Peace Agreement 2005, you add 40 years. That will be Vision 2045. I presented that paper. I think Angelo was impressed. And then he said, this same paper, you must take it to Gulu the following year. That's why I became part of Great Lakes Initiative.
Great Lakes Initiative.
After Gulu, we were now in Kampala. And then the following year, 2018, I went with my wife. So that's how I got connected to World Vision.
Wow. What a journey, Bishop. Initially 1992, that's a very long time ago, but more substantively and specifically in South Sudan in 2015. I know the points you just mentioned also linking to what we call making sense of turbulent context, and also, of course, your contribution in the peace talks, in the current revitalized peace agreement also. And Angelo oftentimes says you refer yourself as a retired bishop, but Angelo says, and I agree with him, you have never retired. You are still contributing significantly to what the church and faith-based organizations can contribute in humanitarian and development work. Why do you think this is important, the role of the church and faith-based organization? And from your experience, from what we just mentioned with World Vision, why should World Vision continue to engage? And how can we improve that engagement with the church?
Basically, the church and other faith institutions, they really promote positive religious and cultural values in society. Jesus said we are the light and the salt and the light of the world. So how do you bring this salt to the society? So through the church and faith-based institutions. And because people eventually develop their character through these values. And if you leave them out, for example, there are people who talk about secular systems. You really go without direction. But values guide the behavior of individuals, including the children, even the elders. And if somebody is not behaving well, you say, oh, he is not having integrity, or is not a good steward, is not a good manager, because he lacks these values. So the church is the only institution, even the oldest, since Jesus started it, over 2,000 years. There is no other institution on earth longer than this.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bishop. As you know, for security and protection is a key concern in South Sudan. Many humanitarian actors and analysts refer to South Sudan crisis as a protection crisis, as a food security crisis. At any given time, including right now, there are over 7 million or so South Sudanese who are in need of assistance. So what do you think can be done more? And how would you describe maybe World Vision's contribution to food security and protection from your experience?
Well, food security and child protection actually needs peaceful environment and stability, to be developed. And the church here, working World Vision, is well placed to do peace building programs at grassroots level. I think if you read the book by this professor John Paul Lederer, he said the most effective method of peace building is bottom up. You work with the people, and the people will bring pressure to the political military leaders who always cause problems. And so when World Vision work with the faith-based church institutions, civil society, the communities in the middle, you empower them to really bring the needs of the people upwards. And I've done this several times. If you read my book, 6 case studies are there.
Yeah.
It worked so well. Even last year, we did the Mandare Takekwa. And it stopped. The Mandare just fighting around Juba here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just stopped because we applied that same method, bottom up.
Yes.
And not only that, church leaders, for example, in your humanitarian organization, when they're engaged in the project management committees, in your reports, they become like witnesses.
Yes.
And they actually also give you correct information, for example, about the target group. Most often, if you work with people who are they need just money, they will inflate the figures. But the faith leader will tell you that's actually what is the number of people who need help. So they will not inflate it for the sake of just getting money and so on. They can also help resolve any conflict. And they can become mediators because of their neutrality. And I did recommend during the baseline survey, which I conducted last year, I said, you involve them from the planning stage so that they can help you with the information, the needs assessment, as well as participate in implementation later on, even in evaluation. So they become like witnesses to what you're doing, and they can even advocate, the different sectors. So in terms of food security and child protection, the church will not be engaged directly. I know they have schools, they have other programs, but they really advocate on behalf of the community, because some people may be suspicious. I had worked with the Roger Church Aid, and people always say, these NGOs, we are fed up with these NGOs. But if the local church say, no, these people are very good, they will take you seriously.
Yes.
The last training we had here in Juba, last month, we went to KIT, this new program we have introduced.
Yes.
Community-led total sanitation. And we went to see these people in KIT, south of Juba, on 26 field visit. We want to find out where they're burning their waste, or where they say open defecation. And then we took them through the process. Say, would you like to mix your waste with the water from the stream, KIT stream? And they said, no. They only understood it when some fish the hot fish was put in the water bottle, and then we drink it. Say, no, we cannot drink it. Say, but you're drinking the same?
Yes.
From there on, they decide they go to dig pillars. And I think your staff was there. You're going to check them this week. 9 people already agreed they go to dig pillars. That is practical reality. And the church was there. And Catholic Church is in the area. Even it was open with prayer. The catechist opened with prayer.
Yeah.
I close at the end with the blessing. That is the role of the church, to be a witness on the community.
Yeah.
And then if the community succeed to stop open defecation, I can tell you it will now move to the other villages. It's going to become an example. Not just theory, but reality.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bishop. Your message has been clear for World Vision to work very closely with the oldest institution, that the church, as influencers, as ambassadors of peace, ambassadors of hope, and also as gatekeepers, as advocates for community development. Start with the church and conclude your work with the church, and the impact will be both quick impact, like the example you just mentioned about the community total sanitation campaign we started, but also longer term, because the church will always be there, has been there, it will always be there. Many years after, projects of World Vision or others ended. So thank you so much for those wise words. We truly appreciate. Let's come to the young people here, Stephen and Elizabeth. You are both very active, child rights advocates and leaders in your own right, in your community and in your school. How did you start to engage, and why? Also, if you can maybe start with Elizabeth.
Like the games that they used to give us, it's if as I want to put our student to be like
Good models and examples for other children also.
Football players in our schools. They done a very good players. Some I think I understand the questions.
Yeah, you are doing well. You are doing a good job. The way you are describing it, it's not just the learning activity, but sports activities, playing and all that, which is important for the psychological well-being of children, because health is a number of factors, right? For example, schools have a school meal program, they have sports activity, they have different clubs, and also it's that comprehensive approach to how the schools can be a better place to bring the generation to be the best in their future. Stephen, maybe you add a little bit on that, and also if you can respond to how is World Vision through the various programs supporting this kind of activities in your school.
Yeah, actually, World Vision is supporting this kind of the thing that you have spoke before. Yeah, actually in our school, as World Vision do much. Like there are some like this club of child club is formed by the World Vision, and the thing that World Vision are doing is really encourage the child or the children to grow well as a World Vision. Like in a week, he used to put some meeting and they invite all the pupils to go and attend, and also advise them to be like the way how they grown, because if they're still a child, you need to be protected. Yeah.
Thank you so much. What are the big problems for children in your communities? What concerns you most? Whether it's a children in your school, your friends, or other children, what are the problems they are struggling with? Children, Elizabeth.
Yeah, some people they have negative things. Some of them they have started thinking of leaving their school because their parents are not having money for paying their school fees. So they have been thinking of going to be like those of niggas, smoking out and drinking. Those are the problems that people face when their parents don't have money for paying their school fees. They have become having stress, and that is the issues that the children face. Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Stephen?
Yeah, also the challenge that they're facing the children, both in the community and the school. A child have a right to go to school because the child need to be educated. Because need to be educated in the future. They'll build the generation of the South Sudan. Because educated child in the future, it will help their family, and also they'll help their parents.
Yeah.
Like if you have your parents will be paying your school fees, and you have completed your educated, right? And some years or some days are gone, you have finished everything, and you have got the small job that you are not doing.
Yeah.
And you'll be helping your brothers who are stay behind.
Yes.
And you'll want to help them.
Yes.
Also let them be educated.
Exactly. So for the schools to succeed, for children to succeed in school, it means what you are telling us is that bridge between the school and the community.
Yeah.
That bridge between the school and the families. How families can support, encourage, not just paying school fees, but also encouraging to send children to school, especially girls who tend to drop out, especially in secondary school. So what special problems do you think girls have in attending school?
Girls sometimes they cannot come early in the school because they have many works at home, and also they told them to go and wash some of the things before they come to school. And sometimes they be late for the school, and also they punish them. And then like that, the girl be having stress. Like that, the girl will not participate well in the class. If the teacher asking questions, the girl will not participate because that she have this many stress in her mind and she's been thinking too much. Maybe the things that she's doing at home is not putting her to feel well. That's where then the big girls, the girls which are in the school or in our secondary, which in small classes, they're supposed to be supported by their parents, but not giving them too much work to do because they have a lot. In the school also, they have to be revising the books. Sometimes the exam is in here, so they have to be revising their books. So the parents are supposed to know to give them too much work to do.
Excellent. So how can you contribute to this effort from your role in the school? So, child rights advocates, leaders of your protection and child rights committees. How can you take this message to the parents? First to your parents and to your neighbors and communities. What else can you do?
For us to inform our parents to do some of the things, so for us, or we said for them what to do for us to be very good in the school or something like that. And parents have to support us because if they don't support us, we are going to be having a lot of problems in the school and at home. And sometimes we have problems also with our parents because they are not supporting us in a good way. So that is what I am.
Yeah. As you have said, these issues will be handled because a girl, when is not educated, even you can see here in Izuba, or they find the girls as they are very educated and they are helping their parents. Now, to handle this issue, to take the information back to the parents and let them sit down and call the girl. Assume like you're having a girl at home. He was in the school, and you have to advise her. Maybe she was in senior 4 or senior primary 8. You have to advise her. Let her not do the bad things and let her continue in her educated. So in a future, you don't know what will be happening in from. So also, girls has a responsibility. As I have heard from my sister, and girls have a lot of work at home. It's also correct. But, some of the girls, when they went to the school, they start thinking the negative thing, not the positive thing. They'll think that if I left the school and then I go and make some other business that I like, maybe it will be better. And they just see some days or what, you just see the girl drop up from the school and they start working the road selling maybe they open the crops, what, they start working on the road, or maybe selling these eggs, and these small pig man
That can distract.
that can distract.
For long-term objectives.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. World Vision aspires, for all children to be educated for life. To be educated for life is not just ability to read and write and do numeracy. It's about educated for life with skills that are required in life. They are physically renewed. They are spiritually and socially also renewed, that can contribute to the nation building. The vision that Bishop Tombe mentioned. And that requires schools to be what we call like hubs of hope. You have the facilities, that is the basic facilities where you get quality education. You have the books that you need. You have teachers that are trained and then that can guide you. You have access to clean water, sanitation facilities in school. The environment is very important for success in education. So that's the aspiration we have as an organization, and in all of the schools we are supporting, we would like to ensure this happens. Children are aware of the environment. They contribute to environmental protection, planting trees and cleaning, and all that. That makes someone to be complete when you are done. Sometimes you may have a degree, you are educated, but you are not properly, adequately contributing to a nation building because of the lack of this other element. So we will continue to work on that. Thank you for your contribution so far. Let me come back to Bishop and take you back to the vision you're going. I really like that idea, the biblical. Let's do 40 years, and then from the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005, 40 years takes us to 2045. How do you think South Sudan is going in that direction? How do you envision South Sudan moving toward that, a nation that is fit, a nation that is peaceful, a nation that is prosperous? And what more can the church do to contribute to that?
Thank you for coming back to that vision. Actually, we were seeking to find answers to your question. And so a group of church leaders, including myself, we were in Nairobi in December 2016, after I presented that paper here in Mesh Hotel in September. And one of the academic, political leaders, he said that we have no state even to build. And I was shocked because I assumed that we have a state from July 2011. So he was saying we have no state. So I raised my hand and I said, please, Professor, please, don't confuse us. You have said we have no state. What about the Senate in Juba? And he said, no, these are former guerrillas. We have taken over. They're not the state, but they're not the state. My misunderstanding was I confused state with the government. Just like a car and a driver.
Yes.
A driver, not a car.
Yeah.
We have the driver, but there's no car. So we have political leaders, military leaders, but there's no state. We are just called out our Sudan state, but we need to build our own. But I was not quite sure about what he said. And then I asked two more academicians the following day who came to visit us at our hotel. I said, tell me, I will not tell you who told me. Is it true we have no state in South Sudan? And they say, whoever told you is correct. Because if you have a state, there are two functions, fundamental functions, methods of law and order, and delivery of services. In as much as these are not being done, you have no state. Even if you have a flag, you have currency, you have whatever, even government offices. I think I was getting, the Bible says if you have two witnesses, 2 or 3 witnesses, then one of them that is Ababa in 2017, one scholar actually put it in writing that we have no state. So the question now is, how do you build one state? And therefore I went back to the Bible. Look at the state of Israel. Remember, God built it through Abraham, who brought the faith, and then you have Moses, who brought the law, the commandments.
Yeah.
And then finally, King Saul, then they were replaced by David. The state institutions. So you need 3 pillars. So I rushed back to this manager of Ebony Center here in Juba and say, hey, please, now I got the answer. Can you please organize a function at the Grand Hotel? So in April 2019, I delivered the paper on the 3 pillars. But he said, you talk about the first pillar. We have a lawyer in Juba University, Santino Longar. You talk about the law pillar, and then another one abroad in Canada, online. You talk about state institutions. The problem now I have is that they don't agree with me with a time frame of 40 years. Because some of them will not be there, including myself. But these children will be there. Right? So we have to make sure that these children will achieve the vision 2045.
Yes.
Based on 3 pillars: faith, law, and state institutions. Not individuals. Individuals will go. But the state will remain. And you are going to be the leaders from now on. So I've been telling them, anybody above 50 years, his job should mentor the young people and retire. That's why I retired, but not tired. Yeah, I'm still going on.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Retired officially, but not tired. And these are very profound statements you are making. And I'm glad these young people are really listening keenly. These are very, very profound statements, how the interaction between faith, the law, and the rule of law, the spirit of the law, and in institutions, including services, basic services like education and health, can really contribute to the protection of children and contribute towards the nation, or as you called it, state building. Thank you so much. What message would you like to share with the church and the public, on what we just spoke? Now, where we need to go, ensuring that South Sudan has the next generation fit to build it further.
Thank you very much. I just happened to get a copy of his book. My colleague, Arun Run, he's in the State Parliament, Council of States. And we played this role together. I was the General Secretary of Council of States of Khartoum. He was in Nairobi with the new Sudan Country. We were then struggling for liberation. Now, after we liberated ourselves, we didn't have to do state building. But the church seemed to see that this is politics. Because it doesn't see it from biblical perspective. So I've been struggling with the big theologians. I'm not one of them, but trying my best to study. Where do you get this? I tried to borrow the state of Israel. They say, oh, this is archaic. It's very old. Why don't you look at Rwanda or Uganda or Kenya, our neighbors? Modern state. But I may have problem with the time frame, but basically, if you don't have faith which produce values, positive values, you don't have the law, right? It's a bit difficult to maintain law and order because there will be criminals always. I think we heard about the niggas.
Yeah,
I've got to deal with it, these children.
Yeah,
and even the elders who do corruption. It's only the systems. The courts have to try this case, the chiefs, and then they set institutions for service delivery, for education, for health, for everything, even the military. Right now, we don't have the army. We have rebel armies, right?
Yeah.
We are struggling to have one army, unified forces, right? So, who is going to do this? And the church says, oh, this is not part of us. Okay, we may not be directly directing it, but we should advocate so that this army is graduate, provide security for the coming elections. People are not talking about elections. But if you don't have security in place, there's no stability for people to vote. We may then have to cycle of transitions. We have the roadmap, is that not?
Yes.
That's the agreement now, the roadmap.
Yeah.
People are not saying we are going to have roadmap 2. This is why I'm saying we need to educate the church so that the church can play a role like we did during the liberation struggle. But for the state building, how do you build a state? From the Bible. And we have, of course, so many examples. Somebody wrote about Nehemiah, said, no, Nehemiah is reconstruction.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, why don't you look at Esther? I said, Esther is about protection of the nation of Israel in exile. So we are still looking for the theology, contextual theology of state building. So this is the challenge for all of us. I have read a copy of this book and I talked to Dr. Harun. He said, let us meet and talk about it. Probably will come at once.
Very good. Thank you so much, Bishop. We really appreciate your insight on this. Let me come back to Stephen and Elizabeth. What message would you like to send to your fellow children, to children who are in school, children who are not in school? What would you like to tell them? Elizabeth?
Yeah. For me, I want to tell all the people switches in South Sudan and study. I want to tell them to be studying well in school, in their schools, and not to lose hope that the people which are at home not coming to school, let them not lose hope that one day they will go to school. Let them have hope that one day their parents will have money and work and register their names in the school. So let them not lose hope. Let them be having hope so that their parents will register their names in the school. And also the people which is in the school studying and the parents are paying their school fees, let them not let them not do things which their parents are telling them not to do, or the teachers are telling them to not to do it. Let them follow the rules of the school and the rules of the home which their parents are giving to them, because it's good for their futures. And also for many things that they are doing in their life that can help them. Not them to do some of the things which can destroy their lives. And also, I want to inform them that when you're in the school, you have not get out and go somewhere. Like when during breakfast, when they ring the bells of breakfast, there is some of the children, they like to go out in the places which they support not to go in. I want to tell them not to go in those places, because those places can spoil their futures, and they're the new generations of they are the new leaders of South Sudan. So let them not do that. And also, the peoples which are not respecting their teachers, I want to tell them that from today on, they have to respect their teachers and their parents at home. And also, I would like to tell them not to think negative. They have to think positive about their future, because they are the new leaders of South Sudan. So if they think in a very good way, we shall put our country to be the best country like the other countries. Because there is a many of the things in our country, we have to put it to develop.
Yeah.
So I want to tell all the children in South Sudan to follow the rules that they've given by the teachers and their parents. And also everyone. Some of the peoples, they don't stay with their parents at all. They stay with their uncles, their auntie, and that is also part of their family. So they have to follow the rules of those people. The rules that they are given by those people, they have to respect it. That is the only thing I want to say to all the children in South Sudan.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This is very powerful. I don't want to refer to you as new leaders or next leaders. You are leading now. This is really the way you stated in the strongest term possible, and very specific also. Do not lose hope. Respect authority. That authority is your teachers and your parents, and be considerate of others as well, and how to be focused and avoid things that will distract them from this good thing they are doing in developing their understanding and skills. So this is really powerful. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Stephen, would you like to add something?
Yeah. Let me add something and go for very good. My message to all the children, and I would like to say that don't lose hope, as Elizabeth said. Don't lose hope. You put more effort, and also go to school every day, as you have heard from Elizabeth. And I will add that don't lose hope of going to school, because we are the child of now. You'll be the future of the generation in South Sudan. Because as I've seen from Zuba, when I was coming from Uganda, and I joined, when I was coming from Uganda to South Sudan. When I was in Uganda, I had Juba. The one day I had to go to Juba. I had to see how Juba. It's the same like Uganda, or are they the children, they behave like the one for Uganda, or they're indifferent. When I came to Juba, they're indifferent. The way that they behave is very nice. Even the children that were living at home, they are well. They not join those group of niggas as they have from our bishop. Those groups of niggas, they cannot join. But when I was in Uganda, my colleagues are all niggas. They used to fight with people. But I just look at them. One of the guys said, "My friend, one day we're going to join that group." I said, "My friend, I cannot do that, because if I join it, I'll be in a problem. My mom even doesn't like those groups." So I I inform all my brothers. Hey, do you see one of my friends said that I have to go and join that? And then my brother said that you, my friend, if you join it, you just left our house, you go and look for a place where you stay. And then since that time up to now, I can't wait about it. We just from school at home, pick a book, you read, after finishing, take shower, you get it.
Focus, the power of focus.
Yeah.
And as you both mentioned, I also strongly believe, World Vision very strongly believes that South Sudan is endowed with huge resources. It just needs everybody to work together to build it, to make use of it. So water resources, land resources, estimations are it's like only about 4% of the land that is cultivated at the moment, but this is a huge potential, can be a bread basket. And you can learn to do it also, Sometimes in schools, when we ask children what would they like to do when they grow, or where they would like to specialize, to be a doctor, be a pilot, they want to be an engineer. We want to hear more children who say, I want to be a farmer, I want to use the Nile River, I want to use Joe River and produce food and make it profitable for myself, and export food to Uganda instead of now we are buying from Uganda.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. World Vision in South Sudan, we aspire to improve the lives of about 3 million children over the next 5 years or so. That's our strategy. We work on 4 major areas, including food security and livelihoods, and improved nutrition, peace, protection, and participation of children, and of course education. Both the access to quality education and availability of support for schools to be good and attractive to children to come and learn and change and grow to their full potential. That is our main strategic objective. And as we discussed today, our significant engagement at community level is also through the church and faith-based organizations. We have a unit called Faith and Development that has a pillar of partnership with the church as one of our areas of work that we would like to strengthen. We have a good amount of work going on with all mainline churches, including Scripture Union, especially for spiritual nurture of children through schools. So we would like to continue with that. And this is why we wanted to have this conversation today. What can we achieve more through the partnership with the church and faith-based organizations and children, making them at the center of what we do through consultation, through regular engagement, and your participation in our decision-making process. We would like to do that more and more as we proceed. Thank you so much, everyone. Bishop Tombe, Stephen, and Elizabeth, for joining us today. Thank you so much.